Before you can rule anything in this world, you must first conquer the chaos inside yourself. Most men never realize this. They wage wars on the outside while their inner kingdom burns. But you, right now, stand on the edge of something far greater. Self-mastery is not a motivational slogan. It is a weapon, a shield, and a throne. Machiavelli understood that the man who governs himself becomes untouchable because no enemy can manipulate what he already controls. Power begins with discipline. Influence begins with clarity. Freedom begins with inner order. When you silence the noise, when you command your impulses instead of obeying them, you evolve into something rare, a man who moves with intention, who acts without hesitation, who does not break when pressured. This is the moment most people run from, the moment where excuses die and the real work begins. But you're not most people. You wouldn't be here if you were. Your transformation starts now. If you're ready to step across the threshold, declare it in the comments. I command myself. Let the world witness the moment you decided to rise. Number 2, the first war. Your mind. Your mind is the battlefield where every victory and every downfall begins, and most people walk through life completely unaware that they're losing a war they never realized they were fighting. They allow fear to dictate their moves, doubt to poison their potential, and emotion to yank the steering wheel out of their hands. But a man seeking self-mastery cannot afford to be unconscious, reactive, or fragile. You must become the strategist of your own thoughts, the ruler of your inner state, the architect of your mental fortress. Machiavelli understood that the strongest ruler is the one who does not depend on chance, luck, or the illusion of control. He depends on himself, on the power he built deliberately, piece by piece, pressure by pressure. That is the path you walk now. Self-mastery isn't about becoming emotionless. It's about becoming unmanipulable. It's about reducing the distance between intention and action. It's about leading your mind instead of chasing it. You observe your thoughts like a general observes the field, calm, calculating, free from the chaos that consumes weaker men. Every fear becomes an opportunity for strength. Every doubt becomes a signal pointing toward what must be strengthened. Every hesitation becomes data, nothing more, nothing less. You detach from the noise, sharpen your focus, and claim authority over the storms inside you. The world bends for the man who bends himself first. Once you shape your internal world into discipline, clarity, and direction, the external world becomes far easier to command. That's why most people fail. They try to dominate circumstances without ever dominating themselves. But here, in this moment, you're choosing the rare path, the path of inner supremacy. You're learning to weaponize your attention, your silence, your awareness. You're learning to act with purpose instead of impulse. And once you do, you become something dangerous, a man who cannot be provoked by chaos because he already mastered the chaos within. If you're ready for the next step, prove it in the comments with the phrase, "My mind obeys me." Number 3, the discipline of the unbreakable. Discipline is the spine of power, the silent force that separates the unstoppable from the easily defeated. Most men crumble because they treat discipline like motivation, something that comes and goes, something they wait for instead of something they command. But if you intend to master yourself, you cannot rely on emotion to drive you. You must become the type of man who acts regardless of how he feels. Machiavelli would tell you that a ruler who depends on fortune is doomed the moment fortune shifts. The same truth applies to you. If your strength is conditional, it is not strength. It is luck dressed as character. Real mastery is forged in the days you don't want to try, the mornings you feel drained, the nights you want to give in. Those moments are the proving grounds where ordinary men retreat and extraordinary men are born. Discipline is the art of making your future self the priority over your current comfort. It is the refusal to negotiate with weakness. It is the cold, steady execution of what needs to be done, without apology, without hesitation, and without needing applause. The world respects the man who is consistent because consistency is rare, and rarity is power. Every action you take with discipline becomes another brick in your internal empire, another layer of armor around your identity. And once that identity solidifies, it becomes nearly impossible for external forces to break you. Habits shape destiny, but discipline shapes the habits. You must eliminate the softness that whispers, "Rest," when you haven't earned rest. You must silence the voice that says, "Later," because later is the breeding ground of mediocrity. You must confront the part of you that fears pressure, because pressure is the sculptor of strength. Discipline doesn't just create results, it creates transformation. It turns you into a man who others cannot predict, cannot manipulate, and cannot outrun. A man whose actions are aligned with purpose, not mood. A man who becomes unstoppable because he eliminates every internal excuse before the world even gets a chance to challenge him. If you understand this truth, declare your evolution in the comments. I rise through discipline. Number 4. The fortress of emotional control. Emotional control is not about suppressing what you feel. It is about directing it with precision, the way a ruler directs armies and resources toward victory instead of chaos. Most men are emotional slaves, reacting to everything, triggered by anything, rattled by anyone who knows how to push the right psychological buttons. But a man who aims to master himself must evolve beyond this primitive state. He must learn to pause where others panic, to analyze where others explode, to respond with strategy rather than impulse. Machiavelli understood this intimately. The man who cannot control his emotions will always reveal his weaknesses before the fight even begins. When you are predictable, you are vulnerable. When you are easily provoked, you hand your power to whoever understands your triggers. Emotional control is your armor, your shield against manipulation, your silent declaration that nothing within you is accessible to the hands of another. This doesn't mean you feel nothing. It means you feel everything with awareness and choose what deserves your reaction. Anger becomes energy you can channel. Fear becomes information you can use. Sadness becomes a message pointing toward what must evolve. Nothing goes to waste. You turn your emotions from liabilities into weapons, refining your inner world into something precise, disciplined, and unshakable. People will wonder why you don't break under pressure, why you don't lash out when provoked, why their attempts to destabilize you fail over and over again. They won't realize you've built a fortress inside, a structure made of self-respect, self-awareness, and a refusal to hand your power to fleeting impulses. This is what makes you dangerous in a world full of emotionally fragile individuals. The man who governs his internal storms becomes the calm in every external conflict, the one others look to for direction, yet never fully understand. And as this inner stability strengthens, you'll find your decisions become sharper, your presence becomes heavier, and your influence becomes effortless. Emotional control is the signal of a leader, the signature of a man walking in his own authority. It is the foundation that transforms strength into dominance, focus into influence, and discipline into unbreakable identity. You are not meant to be ruled by emotion. You are meant to harness it as fuel for greatness. If you're ready to claim this level of internal power, declare your stance in the comments. My emotions serve me. Number 5. The art of strategic detachment. Strategic detachment is the power to step back from the noise of life and see the full battlefield for what it really is, not what your emotions or desires want it to be. Most men are chained to their attachments, people, outcomes, validation, illusions of certainty, and because of that, their judgment is clouded, their decisions are compromised, and their power is diluted. But a man committed to self-mastery must learn to detach with clarity and cold precision. Machiavelli knew that a ruler cannot afford blind loyalty to anything that weakens his ability to think. The moment you become attached to outcomes, you lose leverage. The moment you cling to people who do not align with your mission, you lose direction. The moment you allow your self-worth to depend on external approval, you lose your identity. Strategic detachment is not indifference. It is the elevation of perspective. It's the mental discipline to rise above instinct and see events as they are, raw, unfiltered, and brutally honest. It allows you to read people without being blinded by desire, to evaluate opportunities without being seduced by fantasy, and to walk away from anything that threatens your trajectory. When you detach, you remove the emotional fog that keeps weaker men stumbling through life, repeating the same mistakes because they cannot bear to let go of comfortable illusions. Detachment teaches you to observe without absorbing, to care without collapsing, to be present without being controlled. It is the mindset that turns chaos into calculation, turning every situation into a map you can navigate with intention. People may accuse you of being cold, distant, or unfeeling. Let them. They are speaking from the perspective of individuals who need emotional attachment to feel secure. You, on the other hand, are building internal security, something no one can take from you. Strategic detachment sharpens your perception until you see through motives, through masks, through manipulations that others fall for blindly. It makes you unpredictable because your reactions are not driven by neediness or fear. It makes you powerful because your decisions are not rooted in desperation, but in logic, purpose, and self-respect. The man who masters detachment masters himself, and the man who masters himself becomes someone others cannot influence, cannot deceive, and cannot derail. When you detach strategically, you rise above the crowd, seeing patterns they miss, opportunities they overlook, and dangers they walk straight into. If you're ready to embody this higher vantage point, anchor your conviction in the comments. I rule my attachments. Number 6. The shadow of ruthless self-honesty. Ruthless self-honesty is the most feared form of introspection because it exposes the truth that most men spend their entire lives running from. It demands that you stand face to face with your weaknesses, your insecurities, your failures, and your illusions without flinching, without justifying, without constructing comforting stories to shield your ego. Most people would rather cling to delusions than confront the version of themselves that needs to be dismantled. But the man who seeks self-mastery cannot afford the luxury of lies. He must operate with a level of inner transparency sharp enough to cut through every excuse and every fragment of self-deception. Machiavelli understood that a ruler who lies to himself sets the stage for his own downfall, because misjudging your own nature leads to misjudging your enemies, miscalculating your strategies, and misunderstanding your position in the grand game of life. Ruthless self-honesty is the mirror that shows you not who you pretend to be, but who you really are. Your patterns, your habits, your flaws, your strengths, your potential, your limits, and the exact points where you crack under pressure. It reveals the truths you've buried under distractions and pride. It forces you to confront the reality that you are not yet the man you want to be, but you can become him if you are willing to face what stands in your way. Self-honesty is not about shame, it is about strategy. It gives you a map of your internal landscape, highlighting the vulnerabilities you must seal, the strengths you must sharpen, and the tendencies that sabotage your progress. It is the foundation of growth because you cannot fix what you refuse to see. When you practice ruthless self-honesty, you eliminate the blind spots that leave you exposed. You identify the habits that drain your power, the relationships that weaken your judgment, the fears that dictate your actions, and the lies that keep you stagnant. This awareness is not comfortable, but comfort is the coffin of transformation. And as you peel away the layers of illusion, you begin to operate with a clarity that most men will never taste. You become dangerous because no one knows you better than you know yourself. You cannot be easily manipulated because you've already confronted the triggers others would use against you. You cannot be deceived by flattery or broken by criticism because you've stripped your ego of its fragility. You become a strategist of your own psychology, a master of your inner dynamics, a man who sees himself and therefore the world with brutal clarity. Ruthless self-honesty transforms you into a weapon forged in truth and sharpened with intention. If you are ready to face your reflection without fear, declare it openly in the comments. I face my truth. Number 7. The cold precision of long-term strategy. Long-term strategy is the dividing line between men who live reactive lives and men who bend the world toward their vision with quiet, relentless intention. Most people drift through their days guided not by purpose but by impulse, not by clarity but by whatever emotion screams the loudest at the moment. They are pulled into distractions, seduced by short-term comfort and paralyzed by immediate pressures. Their entire identity becomes a series of reactions rather than a consciously constructed path. But a man on the path of self-mastery cannot afford such blindness. He must think in horizons, not moments. He must operate with a vision that stretches far beyond the noise of the present. Machiavelli taught that a ruler who fails to plan beyond the moment is vulnerable to those who do. Power belongs to the man who can see further, anticipate deeper, and act with the patience and precision required to shape outcomes years before they unfold. Long-term strategy begins with detaching from the seductive pull of instant gratification. You must understand that every short-term impulse is a test, an invitation to abandon your future for the comfort of now. Most men accept that invitation. They waste years trapped in cycles they could have broken with a single disciplined decision. But not you. Not if you choose to think like a strategist instead of a wanderer. Your goals must be forged with clarity, aligned with purpose, and pursued with a level of consistency that is immune to the whims of emotion. Strategy requires you to evaluate your moves like a grandmaster. Always aware of the consequences, always several steps ahead, always prepared for the resistance that comes with ambition. You stop making decisions based on who you are in the moment and begin making decisions based on who you are becoming. Everything you do either strengthens the man you aim to be or weakens him. There is no neutrality. You must learn to sacrifice what is comfortable for what is meaningful, to abandon the trivial in pursuit of the significant, and to accept that becoming unstoppable requires a level of long-term discipline most men are unwilling to endure. Long-term strategy demands self-restraint, patience, and ruthless prioritization. You must choose your battles wisely, align your environment with your goals, and detach from people who drain your ambition. You must track your progress like a merciless observer, adjust your failures into lessons, and reinforce your successes into habits. Nothing is random. Nothing is left to luck. Every action becomes intentional. Every decision becomes strategic. Every sacrifice becomes an investment in the empire you are building. And with time, your life begins to shift. People start to notice the changes they cannot explain. Opportunities begin to align with your direction. Obstacles lose their power over you because your vision extends beyond them. You become unshakable, not because life becomes easier, but because you grow wiser, sharper, and far more calculated. That is the cold precision of a man who thinks long-term. He becomes a creator of futures rather than a victim of circumstances. If you understand this truth and you are ready to adopt the mindset of a strategist rather than a follower, declare your alignment in the comments. My vision leads my life. Number 8. The power of controlled presence. Controlled presence is one of the most underestimated forms of power, yet it is the very force that determines how the world responds to you before you even open your mouth. Most men drift through life with scattered energy, unfocused thoughts, and inconsistent identity. Their presence shifts depending on who they're with, what mood they're in, or what insecurity is currently speaking the loudest inside them. They enter rooms hoping to be accepted, noticed, or validated, not realizing that this very neediness erodes their influence before the first word is spoken. But a man who seeks self-mastery must understand that presence is not an accident. It is a weapon. It is crafted, sharpened, and deployed with intention. Machiavelli knew that rulers maintain power not simply through action, but through the aura they project, the unspoken authority that shapes how others interpret their moves. Controlled presence means you decide how the world experiences you. It means you anchor your energy so deeply that no environment can shake it, no person can distort it, and no situation can pull you out of your own alignment. Your posture, your eye contact, your silence, your tone, your stillness, Every detail becomes part of the psychological framework you present to the world. And when executed with discipline, it shifts everything. People begin to sense that you are not easily moved, not easily manipulated, not easily impressed. They feel the steadiness in your demeanor, the calculation in your responses, the certainty in your identity. Controlled presence tells the world that you do not chase validation, you create gravity. You pull attention without effort, not because you demand it, but because your self-possession makes others instinctively treat you as someone who cannot be ignored. This is not arrogance. This is alignment. This is the natural result of mastering your mind, your emotions, your discipline, and your long-term strategy. Presence becomes the external extension of your internal order. But controlled presence also requires restraint. You must resist the urge to overshare, to fill silence, to react prematurely. Silence becomes your ally. Patience becomes your shield. Precision becomes your language. You speak only when necessary. And when you do, your words carry weight because they are not diluted by constant noise. People begin adjusting their behavior around you. They measure their words more carefully. They seek your approval rather than the other way around. They sense that you cannot be swayed by flattery or provoked by disrespect. This psychological advantage is subtle but immense. It places you in a position where you influence outcomes simply by maintaining your internal alignment. Controlled presence also means being fully aware of yourself, of your surroundings, of the dynamics unfolding in every interaction. You notice details others miss. You pick up on tone shifts, micro-expressions, power imbalances, hidden intentions. This awareness strengthens your strategy, sharpens your intuition, and enhances your ability to maneuver through social environments with precision. When your presence is controlled, your life stops being reactive and becomes assertive. You define the terms, you define the pace, you define the atmosphere, and this level of self-possession is what separates the forgettable from the unforgettable, the weak from the influential, the ordinary from the unstoppable. If you're ready to craft a presence that commands respect without effort, declare your commitment in the comments. My presence speaks for me. Number 9. The calculated art of influence and silent power. Influence is not about forcing your will onto others. It is about shaping their decisions without them realizing you played a role in them at all. Most men try to influence through noise, begging, persuading, demanding, or posturing, hoping that sheer volume will earn them respect. But power does not grow in loudness. True influence is born in subtlety, in strategy, in silence. It emerges from understanding human nature deeply enough to anticipate behavior and guide it without confrontation. Machiavelli wrote that it is best to appear virtuous rather than to be virtuous, not because honesty is weakness, but because perception is the battleground on which power is won or lost. The world does not respond to your truth. It responds to what it believes about you. And a man who understands this becomes capable of shaping outcomes without ever revealing his hand. To master influence, you must first master observation. Watch how people react when they're uncertain, when they're afraid, when they want something they're ashamed to admit. Listen to the tone beneath their words, the patterns beneath their actions, the motives beneath their requests. People reveal far more than they realize, and most men never notice because they're too consumed with their own egos. But you, if you choose to be a strategist, must become a student of human behavior. Learn how insecurity drives decisions. Learn how approval shapes identity. Learn how fear controls action. Because once you understand what moves people, you can move situations. Influence also requires patience. You do not rush outcomes. You do not push people faster than they're ready to move. You plant ideas like seeds, subtle and precise, and let time do the heavy lifting. And when the moment is right, the decisions others believe are theirs will align perfectly with the path you intended all along. This is silent power, the ability to shift the trajectory of a room without raising your voice, the ability to change the tone of an argument with one steady glance, or the ability to dismantle manipulation simply by refusing to react. Silent power is rooted in self-control. You cannot influence anyone if you cannot rule yourself. When your emotions are steady, Your presence becomes a reference point for others. When your reactions are controlled, people second-guess their attempts to provoke you. When your identity is grounded, others instinctively treat you as someone whose approval carries weight. Influence thrives in this dynamic because people gravitate toward what stabilizes them. The man who is calm becomes the man who is trusted. The man who is consistent becomes the man who is followed. The man who is unreadable becomes the man who is respected. Silent power is not passive, it is precise. You choose when to speak, when to withdraw, when to apply pressure, and when to let someone reveal their own weakness. You are not rushed, you are not flustered, you are not carried away by ego. And that makes you dangerous. It allows you to guide outcomes without exposing your intentions, to win conflicts without making enemies, to elevate yourself without announcing your rise. People will think you're simply confident. They will assume you're naturally composed. They will never understand that every move you make is deliberate, calculated, and aligned with a larger vision they cannot see. This is the art of influence a self-mastered man must wield, controlled, subtle, strategic, and always hidden behind silence. If you're ready to step into this level of psychological power, declare your assent in the comments. I move with silent power. Number 10. The emergence of the unstoppable self. Becoming unstoppable is not a moment of revelation. It is the accumulation of every disciplined choice, every controlled emotion, every strategic move, and every truth you've confronted within yourself. Most men chase power as if it's something external, something handed to them by circumstance, luck, or other people's approval. But the truth is far colder and far more liberating. Power is built internally long before it manifests externally. The man who is unstoppable is not the strongest, the loudest, or the most ruthless. He is the one who has mastered himself so completely that the world cannot corrupt, manipulate, or break what he has forged in silence. When you reach this level, you no longer fear judgment because your identity is self-defined. You no longer fear loss because you stand anchored in clarity. You no longer fear competition because you have become the competitor others fear. You move with intention, speak with precision, and act with a calm that unsettles the unprepared. You are not controlled by impulse, you direct impulse. You are not swayed by pressure, you turn pressure into fuel. You are not defined by obstacles, you dissolve them through strategy, patience, and unwavering discipline. This transformation doesn't make you invincible, it makes you immovable. It makes you the kind of man who can face chaos without collapsing, setbacks without quitting, betrayal without losing direction. An unstoppable man isn't a man without wounds. He's a man who sharpens himself on those wounds until they become weapons. And once you reach this point, the world responds differently. People sense your certainty. Opportunities gravitate toward your momentum. Weakness in others reveals itself instantly, and strength recognizes strength. You no longer operate from need, you operate from power. This is your emergence, your evolution, the moment where everything you've built internally prepares to manifest externally. If you're ready to claim the identity of the man you've been forging piece by piece, declare it in the comments. I become unstoppable. And before you go, remember to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss what comes next.